Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the Conversation podcast. We are currently in our Your Story series, and after a bit of a Christmas and New Year break, we are back. And today, my guest is Mark Slessenger. And Mark is involved with an organization called the Message Trust, and they do a lot of interesting stuff. Particularly, the focus of today is to track a little bit through Mark's journey. He's British but lives in South Africa, just to see how God led him here, and also to unpack a little bit about what Mark is involved with, which is something really awesome called Gangstar Cafe, which runs under the Message Trust. And so, looking really forward to this one. So glad that you can join in and listen to this or watch it on YouTube. Mark, welcome to the Conversation podcast. It's so good to have you on.
Thank you, Tristan. Yeah, it's really good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. How are you doing?
Doing good, eh? Doing good. Yeah. Just moving forwards, ready for a new year with everything that's going on. Challenges, but yeah, trusting God for this, for a good 2021.
Absolutely, yeah. Now and again, just for our viewers and listeners, now and again, I'll catch Mark at the gym, and we both like to swim. I'm a very amateur swimmer, but Mark can definitely do his laps.
I would say I'm amateur as well, but I try and put in a few laps. Yeah, really good, good exercise. Yeah,
there are some guys in that pool that motor, and they'll do a length in like 10-12 seconds or something like that.
No, exactly.
I'm so slow, but
I tried to keep up with some of them, but not a good idea.
No. But it is a great way to exercise, especially in summer. But we aren't here to talk about that. We are here to talk a bit more about you and the ministry that you are involved with.
Sure.
And for those listening and watching in, who is Mark? Tell us a bit about you and your family, and just part of your journey as to how you came from England to South Africa. Fill us in a little bit, Mark.
Yeah, so how do I make this so short? I'm from the UK originally, from London. First came to South Africa when I was 19. I got saved here. Wow. Yeah, I did a year with Life Church out in Sea Point, and that's where I became a Christian. Yeah. So, went on a mission trip to Zimbabwe, saw God move in amazing ways, gave my life to the Lord. Then I went back to the UK and really felt God calling me to full-time mission. So I actually applied for Cornerstone Bible College here in Cape Town, came and did that for 3 years. Then I went back to the UK and then felt called to join a mission organisation called Ambassadors Football. Okay. So it's a football-based sports ministry. Yeah. And I came to South Africa in 2003 and then started with them. And that's when I got involved with prison ministry, using football as a way to engage juvenile offenders and youth at risk. And so I've been here since 2003, full-time, living in the country. I've got 2 boys, Joel, who's 15, and Liam, who's 11. And that's our family, and that's who I am.
Wonderful. So you've almost lived here for longer than you have in the UK?
Yeah, I'm about half now. So,
and which is, sure, I would like to think that Cape Town's really home now.
Definitely. Yeah. I like to go back to London, but just on short trips, especially because of the weather. So.
Yeah, especially like go back in the winter like they're having right now and brag about the Cape Town summers.
Yeah, 100%.
But interesting. Okay, so Mark is involved in our church, and it's been great to just journey and get to know him and his family a little bit. Mark, you're involved with the Message Trust.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about this amazing organisation and the work that they do.
Yeah, Message Trust. So Message Trust have been going for a long time in the UK. I think up to close to 30 years now. Wow. Based out of Manchester, founded by a guy called Andy Hawthorne. And really, it was founded on the back of Andy having a passion to reach the toughest to reach young people on the estates in Manchester, and seeing that the church was struggling to reach young people that were on the margins and really struggling, those coming out of prison, those that were dropping out of schools, and those living on the estates. So God called Andy to start the Message Trust, and then in 2014 we launched it here in Cape Town. I actually joined the message in 2013, was part of the founding team. And really with the mandate, to share the gospel with the hardest to reach young people. So we want to see urban heroes raised up. That's our mission. And an urban hero is a disciple, discipling others. Just seeing this new godly role model of young people being raised up. Wow. And we work with churches, we work with other sort of organisations across the city doing that. So that's what we're about. We love it. I love working for them.
Beautiful. And now one of the things that you guys run with is, I'm not sure of the exact name, but that discipleship year program that you're currently on retreat for and so on. Tell us a bit about how that works. I probably got the name completely wrong.
The Message Academy. Is that
that's
what?
Yes.
So we launched that last year. That was our first official year of the academy. So that's a gap year where we train young people to be missional and to reach young people across the city. So last year we had around 6 people on it, and that was youth workers from churches that would come, and then we would train them up in evangelism, train them up how to use creative arts, how to use different methods to engage young people with the gospel, and then disciple them. So that's Message Academy.
It's beautiful. Well, I see you've got the T-shirt.
Branding it today.
Here branding, letting us all know it's great. I love it, especially for those who are watching on our YouTube link.
Sure.
So more specifically, you're involved with Gangstar and Gangstar Cafe.
Yes.
Tell us about how that started and came about. What was the need that you saw and so on.
Yeah, so my journey with prison started back in 2003, where I never put myself there. I never thought God would place me in prison. That was not on my plan. That was not on my radar. And it just came about with me starting a project out in Polesmore with the juvenile section. And really that's where, as I started to go into the prison and hear the stories of the young people in prison, God really started to break my heart for young people that were broken, caught up in crime. It was very much sheep without a shepherd, just this generation of lost boys, young hurting children that were hurting other people, and just seeing this devastation. In those days I was working with children 18 and under, so you were even getting 12-year-olds in prison at that time. And then I would see them tattooing the number gang signs on their bodies, and you would experience rape in prison and all these kinds of things. So it was just there where God was like, let's invest, let's pour our lives into the prison and really walk a journey with young people. But Gangstar Cafe, so gang is the past, star is the future. It's redemptive. It's not gangster, it's Gangstar. That came about predominantly because we saw one of the biggest challenges of working and discipling young people coming out of prison is employment.
For sure.
So if a guy comes out of prison, he's full of faith, he's found Christ in prison, he comes out, but he's going back to his dysfunctional family, he's trying to find work, can't find work. It just becomes absolutely devastating for him, because his dreams and his aspirations are just not there, and it's just so hard for someone coming out of prison who's got a criminal record to find a job. I mean, it's virtually impossible. If you're honest, if you say to an employer, I've got a criminal record, it's virtually impossible.
It doesn't go well.
So I approached a load of business people a few years back and said, well, if we take these guys through this discipleship process and then we recommend, would you interview them and employ them in your companies? And the sort of overriding response was, no. Why would we take that risk?
That must have been deflating.
Why would we take that risk? Why would we take a risk when we could take somebody out of university? Why would I as a businessman want to do that?
And there are so many people looking for jobs that there'd be that option.
Because someone coming out of prison is raw, they're very raw in terms of employment. They're pretty much unemployable in some respects. So they challenged us as the message to say, why don't you start your own business, and we'll support that. So that's where Gangstar began. We had an ice cream food truck that we tried that went round to weddings and schools selling ice cream. That didn't work out too well because it was just a summer business. And then we had Gangstar Furniture, where we'd renovate old desks and furniture, try to sell it. Didn't work so well. So we scrapped all that, and then we started Gangstar Cafe, which is a coffee shop. So we've got 2 coffee shops. We're launching a new one, hopefully 1st of February. And then we've got our mobile units that go out. So, so it's been been really good, really good journey. Yeah. Never done coffee before, so I've just learned, just suck my thumb, set up the coffee shop, but God's been good to us. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm definitely keen to unpack that side of things a little more, but maybe just to hit pause there. Gangsterism in the Western Cape and in Cape Town particularly is big. I remember a while ago you mentioning a figure to me as to how many people are in gangs within Cape Town alone. Speak into that a little bit for us. And
Sure. So gangsterism it's just something that's devastating young people's lives. Cape Flats townships, it's so prevalent and it's so deeply rooted. And obviously gangs came about through apartheid, people being moved out and then all on top of each other, and then the gangs started to really take root in the Cape Flats and townships. So, the figures are around about 150,000 gangsters in Cape Town. So that's an army, isn't it? It's just absolutely horrible, And so people involved with gangsterism. And then you're looking at overcrowding of prisons of about 145%. Pollsmoor's over 200% overcrowded. You've got a recidivism rate, reoffending rate of about 8 out of 10 going back to prison. So it's just this bubble of destruction, really, cycle of destruction that just goes round and round. And you've got gangs that operate in the prisons, you've got gangs that operate in the community. So Lavender Hill up the road, you'd have the Corner Boys, for example. In the prisons, you've got the numbers, the 26s, the 27s and the 28s. And unfortunately, young people aspire to be in these gangs because
that is a problem.
That's how they can earn income. That's where they get affirmation from. That's where they get their identity from. So it's changing that as the church. What can we do to prevent that and really see, rather than the gang recruiting that young person, what can we do as a church to recruit that young person and disciple them effectively? So that's what we try and do at the Message.
Okay. So let's go through the process. You have Gangstar Cafe, which I've been there and it's awesome. I'm going to insert 1 or 2 photos in this podcast. In fact, round about now, you should see a picture or two of what happens. But Mark, walk us through the process. So do you go looking for guys, or is there a referral where somebody will say, hey, I know of a guy's coming out? How does that process work when you begin the relationship with someone who's come out of prison?
So previously we worked very intensively in the prisons, worked out in Drakenstein at the youth centre there, and we would run a 1-year gap program. So we would take, well, not gap program, but because they're there, but they would be recruited in the prison. They would do an interview, an application process, and then we'd take 25 guys and then we'd take them through a year program where we train them in leadership, entrepreneurship, public speaking. We work through a load of Bible studies, some discipleship stuff with them. So we would do that, but now we're moving a lot more to work with them on the outside. So we've got something called our Reintegration program where we take guys that are come out of prison, because that's really where the battle begins. It's not so much in prison. It's more the day they get released, the support structure for them. So what we do is we have a social worker that does assessments on the guys, and then we would place them into our job readiness program where we would train them how to be job ready, and then we take them into Gangstar doing barista training, and then we would do job shadowing in our cafe so they can get skilled. So it's really about a 2-month process, maybe a little bit more, where we walk a journey with them on the outside. But we take referrals from churches, we take referrals from correctional services so that we get these guys in, and then we walk a journey with them, holding hands with other ministries. Because we feel the job placement and training is where that's the sort of our niche offering. We can offer other prison ministries and stuff working together. So that's how it works.
And they will then work at one of the Gangstar Cafes?
Sure, So they have to pass their job readiness, which is the 3 weeks. They've got to do that. They've got to be diligent in that. And then post that, they would do a 2-week barista training. So we teach them all the techniques, how to make coffee and all of that. And then they would do around about a month job shadowing in Gangstar. Then either we would employ them or we place them in the coffee industry. But Gangstar itself is not a career. It's a training platform. It's a training career thing. So we want to move them on because we've only got 3 cafes, so we don't have lots of jobs to offer. But they come in, they get their experience, and then we push them into the industry and carry on the mentorship after
so
that.
there are other coffee shops and restaurants that would be open to employing some of them as well.
Sure, yeah. So we just had one of our top guys just got employed with another coffee shop. We've got 2 guys working out in Camps Bay with another coffee shop. So yeah, they might not necessarily go on in coffee. They might go into something else. It's just a stepping stone for them to work, and gain experience.
Yeah. So I would imagine that a lot of these guys who come in, when I say guys, is this guys and ladies?
Guys, we just started with ladies.
Ladies as well? Wonderful.
Yeah, got our first lady Gangstar started with us.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that a lot of people who come in are obviously broken and disillusioned with life. And I'm guessing that you see a lot of breakthrough when it comes to just people finding Christ.
Yeah.
I'm sure that must be quite a joy for you. Is that something where most of the guys who come in do reach the point where they commit their life? Speak a little bit about that. Have you seen testimonies of breakthrough and God's goodness in that?
No, definitely. Yeah, I think with everyone's on a journey. We're all on our discipleship journey. So you're taking guys and ladies on a certain part of their journey, whether they've made a commitment and they're struggling with certain issues in their life and their family, or they're on a more stronger track and they're a bit more founded, they're a bit more rooted. But a lot of the guys need that one-on-one intensive support. Yeah. And then I think that's when we start to see the real breakthroughs, when we're investing deeply in them and walking a journey with them. We've seen that when we do that consistently, God moves. You know, because often it's the whole analogy of a baby needing milk, and they need that support initially to get mature.
For sure.
But the encouraging signs for us now after these years is seeing guys who have come through it, who are now mature in the faith, who are now discipling others. So we're seeing them that were discipled through the message are now discipling other people in their influence, which is really exciting. Wonderful. Because I think that's the change that South Africa needs, to see guys coming out of prison, for example, find faith, but now they're reaching others in their community and God is using them.
Yeah.
So that really excites me, because that's that whole ripple effect of transformation
For sure.
that we want to see.
Yeah. And you're empowering people with a skill and a purpose besides just their faith. So they enter a job market, they've been upskilled, trained up.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all good. I think it's all spiritual, because work is good.
Yeah,
God created us to work. So we can't, I think, that's why it's such a big thing for us, because he needs to feed his family, he needs to provide for his family, and that's a godly thing, that's a good thing. So if he's not using his hands for productive things as God has created him to use them, then he's going to use his hands for other things, which is negative. So it's really, not separating that. Yes, there's the gospel, but it's all the gospel in one. But we must teach them the Bible. We must share that with them what it means to follow Christ, to live in obedience, but also work's part of that. So that's why it's nice doing that in the cafes, because you can do that as you're working. It's that all of that discipleship process becomes natural because you're just doing it in the work setting. So that's been really good.
You're not having a sit-down coffee with someone. You're behind the bar, working and discipling, and
how's life,
all at once. It's beautiful.
How's Chloe doing? One of our Gangstars just had a daughter, Chloe. So
wonderful. How's
Chloe doing? And how's your wife Samantha doing? And how's the family? So you're making your coffee, you're having these discussions, which is great. And then they will share with us where they're struggling, and you can pray for them and support them.
Wonderful. And the whole journey into coffee and learning that. I know you really enjoy your coffee. I'm guessing you don't have too much instant coffee lying around at home.
No, not anymore.
Do I? But now and again, I may have a spoon of Nescafe espresso, that ground, which is the best of the instant.
You're really confessing now, eh?
A friend of mine introduced, in fact, the guy who was on our previous podcast, David Est, he introduced me. He bought a bottle of this Nescafe espresso, and I thought, okay, on a really bad day when I don't have time or I'm lazy, I'll have one of those. But how did that journey into coffee and baristering go? For you and the team.
Yeah, so I never had a background in coffee. And really how it came about is our office that's based in Mowbray now. I was chatting to one of my friends who was on the... that was an old Christian bookstore called... trying to think what it was called now. But it was with the Protestant bookstore, yeah.
I remember that.
So he was... they were running the bookstore, and then he approached me and said, I've heard you talking about a coffee shop and maybe Gangstar Cafe. Why don't you start a little coffee shop in our bookshop? So I said, yeah, no problem. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we just bought a coffee machine. I got Carla, one of our guys out of prison. He's an evangelist. He wanted to be a pastor and all of this, but he couldn't earn any money. So I said, no, do some coffee, earn a bit of money, and then on the weekends you can evangelize and that, but you need to provide for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
So we trained him up, and then he became a coffee nutcase. He just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So he was very reluctant at first. And then we started there, and I think the first day we sold like 5 cups and, a few snacks. We had a few muffins and stuff like that. And then it's just grown from there. So, yeah, we really enjoyed it. The barista training is an addition that we added last year, which is exciting. We're hoping to start roasting this year, potentially invest in a roaster, because that just adds to training, adds to other opportunities for the guys to learn more about coffee and the industry. Yeah. But yeah, you learn about the beans and the whole process, and it's really remarkable. I mean, you drink that cup of coffee without knowing the industry. You just think, it came in the supermarket. But when you understand the whole process, the farming, the whole cleaning process and everything, it really makes you respect.
And how most coffee beans actually go through a certain exchange somewhere in the world.
Yes.
And then find their way down to...
Yeah.
I'm sure...
I mean, one fact I found out the other day, I was blown away. So Brazil's the biggest producer of coffee in the world. Okay. And then second is Vietnam. Vietnam, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I've never had Vietnamese coffee, ever.
Yeah.
So
what I know
coffee?
of a Vietnamese coffee is condensed milk. That's what all the coffee shops tend to call it, hey? It's like very sweetened coffee with condensed milk in it. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And where does Africa lie on that spectrum?
So I think Africa was, I think third as a continent, yeah.
Okay.
But coffee originated in Ethiopia, so it's African birthed. So we can claim it. We can claim it as African.
Absolutely.
It was a goat herder actually that found these berries, and then the goat ate some of the berries, and he took some back, and they accidentally put them on the fire and smelt the aroma, and that's how.
And look at it now.
That's how coffee was founded. So amazing.
Interesting.
Now we're using it to impact lives and see young people come to faith, and it's just a vehicle we can use to come alongside people and share the gospel. So
I love it how God gives us an idea or drops something in our mind, and just allows that to sit there for a while until it becomes something that we can actually attain and do. And it's just been such a remarkable story, and I guess what's also exciting is to see the road ahead. Maybe just in terms of that, Mark, have there been some challenges along the way? I'm thinking COVID or Corona as well.
Yeah, sure.
How's that gone?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a real challenge for us with lockdown because we couldn't get in the prisons. So firstly, so we couldn't go in and minister to the guys we met. So that's very, very hard for them as well. Although we are allowed back in now. But from the coffee shop perspective, absolute killer. It's been across the board. I mean, I saw a partner organisation, they just closed down their second coffee shop this morning. I just saw it announced on Instagram. Goodness. So it's just the reality of people not going out at the moment and having coffee. I mean, our turnover has literally gone down to probably 30%, if not even less. So we're thankful that we do have donations that come in. But the frustrating thing for us was the business was actually looking after itself or the social enterprise, I should say, was looking after itself. So it was able to pay the guys' salaries. It was able to do all of that. So we were really excited about that because it was self-sustaining. So it is a challenge, and it's you feel for the guys having to get public transport to work, and then you're fearing for them, and with COVID, and do we shut down the cafes and look for them? So we did shut down one of our cafes just to take care for them a bit more. So these are all the things you just got to consider. But it's a chance for us to also deepen our faith and trust in God in these times, So it's also an opportunity for us to minister to our guys around that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe on that deepening of faith as we close, over the last couple of years within this whole journey of Gangstar, have there been one or two lessons or truths or revelations that God has really shown you, or that you sense that you've grown in, whether it's been just trusting Him, or any realizations there that you could share? Maybe a couple, maybe one.
Yeah, I think faith, always stepping out. So like I said, with the coffee shop, and I'll just start a coffee shop, we just bought a coffee machine. They're not cheap, eh?
No, they're not. No.
So it's a good investment, and I think risk things for God, be that kind of person. So I think for us as Message, one of our values is innovation. So we love to take, we love to just step out in faith. If we believe God's saying something, we just step out and we back it and we resource it. So that's been a good lesson, because when we've done that, one quick story is there was a house that was adjacent to our offices. We just bought our building in Mowbray, and I went into the office and I said to our leadership team, "Do you see that house is for sale next door? That would be great for a halfway home for our guys coming out of prison to live." So we just phoned up the agent. They gave us a thing, went, had a look at it, and we just put in contacted the owner, and just said, let's. He said, "Well, well, but consider it." And I said, "Well, we don't have the money now. Could we rent it for 6 months and then raise the money and then buy the property?" And then he agreed to it. So we had 10,000 Rand we put down. We were covering the rent. That was our deposit, basically. Here's some goodwill, 10,000 Rand. And a week before, we had to put down the difference, which was 3.2 million Rand property. All the money came in. So it was a step of faith, no money, no,
11th hour stuff.
No pledges, no verbal pledges. This is good. We just went for it. And when we've seen that happen, and we've stepped out in faith, God's always blessed that, I think that's been a good lesson. And when the challenges come, to be prayerful, really pray about it, not panic, but give it to God in prayer and just carry on. I think consistency, God rewards that. Just keep on the track, keep moving forwards in God and trusting Him and staying strong in Him, and God will come. Might not get easy straight away, but God does always come through. So we've learned that in the Message.
As we're obedient to God, I think that's a huge calling for us, just to remain obedient to what we believe He's told us. And it's it's knowing the what but not the how, and that's the faith journey. And I just hear so many stories about 11th hour breakthroughs.
Exactly.
But I long for us to get to the point where the level of anxiety and fear as that deadline approaches just stays completely flat, because there's this sense that just knows that God will always come through, because that's what he does, and then also just sensing, there was a friend of mine who posted today actually, and he said he's learning that not every open door is necessarily a door that God is calling you to walk through, and not every obstacle is necessarily the opposite of that either. But it's so important for us to hear God's voice, and look at the fruit that you've seen through the vision and the heart and the obedience that you've shown. And so I just honor you in the ministry and the guys at the Message for the role that you've played. I'm so excited to have you in our church and just get to know you as well, because I sense, I would love for our people to get more excited and more behind this as well.
It's great.
That's one of the reasons I've got you in here.
Oh, okay.
No, but are there any? I mean, I know COVID makes it tough with getting involved, but are there any handles of opportunity that guys and people can help, or even if it's financial, or just any opportunities?
Yeah, I think check us out. We're reopening Mowbray up on the 1st of February, so come and have a look. Come visit Gangstar. And let me know you're there. I'll show you around and tell you more of the story. You can meet a Gangstar. He can tell you his story. That's the best way, I think. Buy our coffee if you can buy our coffee. It's all online. I'll deliver it to your house, no problem. So I think that's, and just keep us in prayer as well. If you're interested in what we're doing, go onto our website, sign up for our prayer letters, and get behind us in prayer. We'd value that.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming in today.
No, pleasure.
And just sharing part of your heart. I love these conversations and really value your time being here.
Thank you. No, thanks for having me. It has been great to be here.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Well, it's been another great conversation with Mark, and it's been so good just to hear about his heart and how God has led him into such an exciting ministry that, through coffee, people are coming to know Jesus, people are finding purpose in life, and that's so exciting. And so as our Your Story series continues, we'll be finding and chatting with more people within our church and just hearing about their stories and how God has used and led them. But for now, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon.